side of the center section. So if you guys want to go ahead and line up, we'll be doing questions and answers for about 20,
Go, Kai, go.
30 minutes, about all we got for you guys. So let's get in as many as we can. Let's start here. You ready?
Yeah. I noticed that in this movie there's a lot of the different camera angles. In a situation where you've got so many camera angles and each frame is only a few seconds long, how do you deal with that? Is there multiple cameras, or is there, do you shoot the scene several times until it's perfect?
Very good question.
Yeah, it's a great question. It's a combination of both. We shoot with a lot of cameras, more cameras than I think most directors do. Anywhere from 3 to 5 at a time. And then we'll do the scene over and over until we feel like we have enough angles. We like really good energy in our stuff, so we want to make sure that the movie had real kinetic energy, and then we have a lot of angles, so we keep it moving and keep it cuts quick and keep those action sequences dynamic.
Yes, I wanted to ask, with this movie, what are the implications for the Marvel Cinematic Universe with respect to TV shows like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., etc., because you just...
Yeah, well, they're all looking for work, basically. No, yeah, I mean, it affects several things. I mean, moving forward, the fall of S.H.I.E.L.D., the next Avengers movie is going to sort of directly address that, and sort of what that does to the world, the condition of the world. It's going to certainly affect the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show. And as far as the next Captain America movie, really what the story that we're going to pick up there is basically, you can tell the Winter Soldier story is not finished, and the relationship between him and Cap is not resolved yet. So that the next movie is going to very much follow that, pick that up.
You didn't have Agent Coulson in this movie.
No, Coulson didn't make it.
Okay, hi. Nice to meet you guys. So how long did it take to make this movie, and how long are you making?
It's okay, take your time.
Okay. How long have you been making plans for Age of Ultron?
Age of Ultron, I think Josh has been working on that for about 2 years now. This movie took about 80 days to shoot with the first unit, and then we had a second unit that was working for about 50 of those days. When you add that up, it's a lot of days shooting, but a lot of action in this movie, and we had to run both units almost all the time to get all the coverage that we needed for the film.
Okay, see you.
First off, I'd like to say, great job with the movie. My question kind of ties in with this a little bit, but how closely do y'all work with Josh Whedon with their vision with Captain America? Does he have any say so? Do you guys work together at all?
Marvel has a really great style where they really want every movie to kind of be its own thing. So while they do certainly think about how everything is interconnected, they don't want to overplay that. They don't want, so while we do talk to Josh and sort of he keeps up on Josh and he keeps up on what we're doing and we keep up on what he's doing, etc., as well as everybody else. It's not woven so tightly together where everybody's just like kind of doing things as a group. It's very much, each movie is individualized, and they want sort of each, all the filmmakers on each movie to bring as much individuality to each movie as possible. So they have a very interesting balance between keeping things connected, but also giving each movie its own space to become whatever it wants to be.
Thank you.
Hi. First off, I just wanted to say, wow, I was completely not expecting this for Captain America 2. Not gonna lie, the first one didn't really impress me too much, but this one, you just completely blew the roots off it. Awesome.
Damn.
We like
Just
action.
get roasted.
Yeah, right there. Honestly, it wasn't only a superhero movie, it was like a spy movie, a war movie. It was amazing. I have only 2 questions for you. First one is, with the post-credit scene dealing with the twins, is it true that those were actually Quicksilver and I believe
Scarlet Witch.
Scarlet Witch.
That
What
is
are,
true.
what are the implications with that? Are you guys planning on tying in the X-Men cinematic universe with the Marvel universe?
That's a tricky question because the rights to the X-Men are owned by Fox, right? Fox Studios. Marvel retains the rights to the Avengers, but there's a weird loophole where Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver also exist in the Avengers universe, so they're shared rights. So you see in the new X-Men movie, they're using their version of Quicksilver, and Johns is using his version in Avengers Age of Ultron.
Right. And just for the second question, by any chance for Captain America 3, do you have any, extra spots, any actors here? I mean, I'll play a background character. I'm completely fine with that.
You're in.
Oh, right on, right on. Extra. See you after the show then.
Yes, now my question is, from a directorial standpoint, which was like the most complicated scene for you guys to shoot to like get right in order to bring together the mission?
That's a good question. I mean, look, all of these action scenes are really difficult to shoot. They require months of planning and rehearsal. Because anytime those fights have to be very tightly choreographed, or people can get hurt. So you have to handle all that stuff very carefully. But so the action sequence that might have been the most difficult, though, is the scene where Winter Soldier attacks them on the freeway. Because that freeway, we used Cleveland, which is where Joe and I are from, to double for Washington, D.C., because D.C. is so hard to shoot in. And to shoot that freeway sequence, we needed to close down a stretch of freeway, almost 2-mile stretch of freeway, for 2 weeks, complete closure. Wow. And because there's explosions, et cetera, we can't be pulling all those cars on and off the freeway every day. You have to leave them there. So there was a lot of pressure on us because it was a big ask and it was a big give for us to be able to close down that freeway, and we knew that there was going to be no leeway, meaning they wouldn't give us an extra day if we needed it. So we knew we had to get everything right. We had no room for mistakes. So we're basically running units round the clock for 2 straight weeks. I mean, we practically didn't sleep for 2 weeks. It was a big adrenaline rush. We had to get all that stuff. And, it ended up all turning out all right, but it was very tense 2 weeks.
Great film. It's amazing. This is a 2-part question real quick, part 1 and part 2.
How do you make all the explosions and stuff and all the flying?
How do we make all the explosions?
Yeah, and the flying.
Oh, the flying. Well, the explosions are, a lot of them are done what we call practically, which means on location or on set. It's usually we have experts who gas bombs and they pack debris into them. So that's how we pull off the explosions. Some of them, obviously the big ships at the end, those are done in visual effects, and that's all done by ILM, George Lucas's effects company. And then the flying, that's all done by ILM as well. Probably 98% of the time that you see Falcon in this movie, he's actually all digital. Falcon flying. Anytime he's on the ground talking, that's Anthony Mackie. And then when we're in a close-up when he's in the air, that's Anthony Mackie. And then everything else is ILM.
Thank you. And then my question was, without offending the other superheroes, what are your favorite superheroes?
That's a good question. I mean, look, I grew up collecting comic books, and one of the first books I ever bought, weirdly, was the Captain America Falcon team-up. I never loved Falcon's outfit, which is why I changed it. I always thought he looked like he belonged in a 70s glam rock band.
Make that movie.
I don't know. Cap's one of my favorites. Spider-Man is one of my favorites. I love the X-Men. I collected a bunch of Marvel stuff. DC, I'd say Batman.
Oh, come on. I hate Batman.
Okay, hello. I've noticed in the Phase 2 movies that they're starting to get a little bit darker with, with Iron Man 3, him suffering from PTSD from the New York scene, and then in Captain America 2, the Captain dealing with the real world situation that he's in, the modern age. Is there a point where the Marvel Cinematic Universe will get too dark for all the audiences, or will it stay at this main baseline? I'm just saying.
I don't know, it's a good question. I mean, look, again, part of the process is, you know, I think there is a progression to get darker, which you see, you know, it's like the sort of Star Wars to Empire Strikes Back movement, which is, you know, once you've introduced the world and the next phase of the movies, you need to kind of up the stakes. So they do tend to get darker. But as far as where it'll go, it's hard to say because, again, Marvel just takes every movie kind of one at a time, figures them out one at a time. So it's kind of a vague answer, but you know, I mean, look, these are big, expensive movies, so they need to appeal to very wide audiences. They can't get, you know, they can never become so dark that it becomes a niche audience that they're going to appeal to. So, but anyway, what that ends up meaning is a question you can only answer one movie at a time.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Did you combine Star Wars with Iron Man?
You say, can we combine Star Wars with Iron Man?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes, you can. Yes, you
We
can.
kind of have because we're using George Lucas's company for all the VFX.
Oh.
Sometimes I grew up on Star Wars, and sometimes
That's a yes.
when we watch this, I see like little similarities between some of the guns on the Death Star and some of the guns on these ships. It gets me excited. It brings out the kid in me. But I don't know if we can combine Star Wars with Iron Man.
Come on, bring Anakin
They own them,
Skywalker.
yeah, Disney owns them both, so I don't know.
My daughter also had a question. Got it. She was asking, why is Captain America the first superhero?
Why is he the first superhero? I actually think Superman and Batman were both before him. I think Cap was 41. I can't remember. Yeah, 38, 39. Cap was 41. So I think he's the first Marvel superhero, though, right?
No, Namor.
But you know, look, he came out during the war, and he was a way to inspire troops and inspire patriotism. And he's lasted a heck of a long time doing that.
Thank you, great movie.
Thank you.
I just have a quick question for everybody that enjoys the UFC in here. What was it like working with George St. Pierre and him being, you know, a professional fighter? What was it like working with him to choreograph the fights?
Yeah, the question was about George St. Pierre, who is, if you don't know him, he's the French-speaking pirate that Cap fought on the boat early in the movie. He's a total gentleman, really polite. For as ferocious as he is a fighter, he's a real gentleman, really classy guy. We loved working with him, and we studied, basically us and our stunt team and our stunt coordinator, we studied his fighting style very closely because we wanted to take advantage of what he had to offer as a fighter. The Superman punch, yeah, exactly. We sort of used a lot of it, you know, tuned into his signature stuff, and he worked with our stunt team for a little while, and the one concern we had is sometimes, you know, he's a real fighter, obviously, and when you stunt fight, you have to use a special technique so you don't kill the person you're fighting. You know, you have to be able to pull your punches properly. So we were a little nervous that a real fighter may have trouble doing that, and I don't, you know, is Chris going to get knocked out? But our stunt coordinator, as soon as he started rehearsing with him, we got the word back right away that his precision was crazy, ridiculous. He put his punches on the exact same spot every time. So he was a pretty amazing guy, very impressive, and we had a lot of fun with him.
Thank you.
First of all, hi. And then I was wondering if there are any planned spin-offs from other characters in the movie.
I think they're talking about a Black Widow movie. They have been for a while. There's rumors that Doctor Strange might be on deck. There's certainly going to be a Cap 3, and Avengers is up next. But I think that's all we can talk about. Marvel's very secretive.
That was a pretty good movie. But I mean, way to go. So my question is, you guys made this movie a really contemporary issue about safety and security in what most people wouldn't really consider to be a vehicle for that kind of thing. But you kind of put it in a villain that's really, really evil, like Hydra. Do you think maybe you watered down the contemporary issue, maybe if you were trying to go for that, by giving that kind of debate that's kind of like, well, you've got good versus evil, whereas I don't think it would be quite that simple. I just kind of want to know, like, were you going for any kind of statement when you wrote the movie, or were you kind of going like, okay, well, we need Hydra to be the villain, and here's this great way to squeeze that into a modern setting?
No, we weren't. He was asking about the, security theme in the movie. Is it freedom or is it fear issue? And did we water it down by using Hydra? And at the end of the day, it's a comic book movie, right? So, it's got a comic book bad guy in it. It's an interesting issue, for sure. We're not political filmmakers. We don't aspire to be. But we do like to reflect reality. So the way that we approached the character was, well, what issues would Cap have from the 40s to today? What would he understand? He hasn't been through Watergate and 9/11, and he hasn't come to the place that we all have over the same journey that we have. So when he looks around and sees stuff, he has a much more visceral reaction to it than we do, because we all understand the concept of wanting to protect ourselves. That for us was just an issue of, well, how would Cap respond to this? And then, then we felt, well, listen, what happens when that technology gets into the wrong hands? And that's really what the movie is.
Do you think that's going to be a theme going forward with Hydra? Or is Hydra going to change?
I think Hydra will adapt, and I think you'll see in Avengers: Age of Ultron how they adapt.
Okay, we're gonna take one more over here. I'm sorry, but that's all we seem to be. Oh, we'll take a few more. Okay, we'll take a few more, but just a warning, we're running out of time here. So.
Okay, so considering your previous films that you've done, and now Captain America, what's your ultimate? I mean, what's your fantasy film that you'd like to make someday?
That's a great. The question was, what's our fantasy film someday? I mean, look, this movie was certainly a fantasy film for us in a lot of ways. Not to just zero back to this one, but this movie had a lot of things we loved in it. Comic book fans all our lives. The fact that it was set in the political thriller genre and was sort of inspired by the classic thrillers of the 70s, like Marathon Man and 3 Days of the Condor, French Connection, etc. Those movies were like, we grew up on those films, and they helped form our understanding of cinema in a large way. So to make a movie like this that combines those two different passions into one film, it was a great fantasy film. As far as other fantasy films, I mean, look, we've had a good career. We've done shows like Arrested Development and Community, and we've had a lot of fun with those. Joe and I have a script that we wrote years and years ago called Murray Hill, which is sort of a sprawling gangster epic set in the late 70s in Cleveland that has been hard for us to get made, and that's something that we want to make someday. Kind of set in the world of the labor unions and when they were mixed up with the mob and sort of the complications of that time. But other than that, no, it's just sort of we've always had a policy of follow the work, and it's just sort of that's the trail we've kind of found for ourselves through the movie business.
Okay, how was it working with each other?
It's been a long time now. We grew up together. We watch a lot of the same movies. We read a lot of the same books. Got a lot of the same tastes. So it's you know, if it were hard, we wouldn't do it. You know, we would just split up. But it actually makes the job much easier, especially when you're dealing with a movie of this scale. I mean, you see those credits at the end. You see thousands and thousands of people involved with a movie like this. Your job as a director on a film of this scale is to manage that, manage everybody, to make sure that everybody's making the same film and making the, you know, the film that you have that's your vision. And that's a tough job. And it's thousands of decisions being made every day. And there's two, yeah, it's a lot, yeah, you make those decisions a lot faster and a lot better.
Going back to the director, do you have any tips for people like me, aspiring filmmakers or directors, or for everyone else?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I always tell people, I think you guys got a lot easier than we had when we were kids. I mean, all we had was like a Super 8 camera, and then you had to get it to ones, and, you know, sometimes you would see the footage you shot for months, and you guys can pull out an iPhone and shoot anything you want to. You can edit it on your computer, and you can put it on YouTube. I don't know, anybody watch Community? Do you guys know who Donald Glover is from Community? Plays Troy, now he's known as Childish Gambino. We discovered him on YouTube. He was doing some he had a group called Derek Comedy. He was doing comedy bits on YouTube. They were doing comedy shorts, and somebody showed him to us, and we thought he was hilarious. And 6 months after we saw it, we cast him on a TV show. So I think, you know, I would go out and shoot everything you can, post it on YouTube. You have free eyes on YouTube.
Thank you.
Great movie, by the way. My first question is, in the next Avengers movie, is there like gonna be like Black Panther and Black Panther?
Hey Kai. I need to use the bathroom. Alright. Alright.
Here's, again, this is a frustrating answer, but again, Marvel is very
I was
secretive
pretty good.
about what they're doing, what's coming next, and there's tight lips, and if we started to answer your question, we would spontaneously come up. Sorry about that.
It didn't work with Stone.
He asked why
So you had to go with the origin story, Captain America first, and then bring Falcon in. And Falcon was modern time.
It seemed to fit the story progression. The first one's really an origin story for Cap, and it didn't have room for an origin story for Falcon as well. And you know, and that's kind of the way the books progress, like from the Golden Age version of Captain America to the 70s when he teamed up with Falcon. So I think the movies are moving on a similar trajectory.
So, good movie. And I was wondering, because at the end they have Loki staff, so that can be connected to the Avengers. And
They're going to use that material to create Ultron.
Wait,
is it like
Captain America or Chris Evans?
Before, huh? Yeah.
Like before this movie.